Many lineages deify their leaders. When you go into a magnificent cathedral, it's sort of like you're inside a great pyramid. Seeing mummified popes gloriously displayed in glass caskets reminds me of what the Egyptians were doing. Well, we tend to deify our leaders. So what about God's angels, like Michael the archangel, who is the commander of God's military and is very close with Jesus Christ? How many would consider him a god, even though he is called an archangel? Although he may not be part of the Godhead or Trinity, he works in harmony with God and commands the great military of light under the direction of the Most High. Something to think about. Michael was the commander of God's army in the war in heaven before the creation of the world. He and other divine beings have had a tremendous impact on my life, and Michael has shown a prime example of loyalty to Christ and the Father. We are shown a history of allegiance. This is the way the team of light works, with integrity, loyalty, honor, and respect for the principles. Basically, the house of God is a house of order. We are shown an order where healthy relationships may continue in harmony with the Creator. God and nature are no respecter of persons, which makes a lot of sense, especially considering the level of physical realm we've been in. Since Adam, the whole human family has been in a fallen physical state called mortality. What do God and nature respect? And what should we respect, if not individuals? How about having various levels of respect from higher to lower, reflecting higher to lower levels of alignment with the principles and the various realms? The commandment of the Most High to have no other gods before me leaves plenty of room to honor our ancestral line of prophets who've reached higher realms in heaven. Otherwise, Christianity is also guilty. This first order of business, which came as the first of the 10 Commandments to Moses, establishes the proper order for every lineage to give the highest allegiance, loyalty, respect, and honor to the Most High God above all else. Not to say there are no other gods. The words themselves recognize the existence of other gods. Neither does it say to dishonor other gods. Each lineage is correct to recognize and honor their good ancestors. From my experience, this is what is being done in most great lineages. We are expanding on 1 Corinthians chapter 8, which was quoted earlier. We all have knowledge, yet not everyone has this knowledge. And this program is not for the weak. Be conscious of the duality within each lineage, where they're mixed up with the tree of death, lower level intelligence, the dark side, black magic, abuse, or the negativity are all the same thing. The laws of God and nature will help people understand the hard way from trial and error when they get it wrong. So rather than being afraid of other people's beliefs, it's time we better understand one another and how we develop. Since the whole tree of life comes from love, from the heart, we can't force integration. One of the most powerful ways to lead is with the feminine principle of beauty. In other words, we let the beauty of the truth blossom in the hearts of people in their own time and fashion. So much of this is part of Buddhist philosophy of the lotus flower, and in Rosicrucian circles, the rose is at the heart of philosophy. We could go on and on. True or false? How do we know whether prophets are true or false? Matthew chapter 7, verses 15 through 20. beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. And a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 and 2, judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. Some people have misinterpreted this to think that we are simply not to judge at all. But that is like saying we aren't to think at all. Lower entities may even try to twist this to fool people into never speaking again. Abusers have used this to manipulate people into being too passive, who are only standing up and speaking up against abuse, only assertively and not too aggressively. And the following helps add clarity on this issue. John chapter 7, verse 24. Judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. This does not mean we aren't to judge, just not misjudge, which is what happens without enough love and understanding. One of the great purposes of being here is to finally learn how to judge. And here we're being told to judge righteous judgment, which is precisely what we intend to do. Remember that people are always telling on themselves. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 35 through 37. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. We tell on ourselves, positive and negative, and we are judged by every word that comes out of our own mouth, not anyone else's. Others tell on themselves too. If you listen closely, you'll discover what they think and feel about themselves. We are meant to call things as they are and judge, not out of fear or cognitive dissonance, but based on the actual facts, and not from hate and anger, but with love and understanding. It's so important to have integrated and empowered judges and members of juries when it comes time to help people pay the price of their ticket. Currently, the jury system in the United States is much more powerful than most people realize. The fact is, if a jury finds a law related to their case that they believe is out of line, they have the power to have that law changed to their satisfaction. They can keep sending it back for changes until they are satisfied. No juries get educated or notified about that as part of any standard legal procedures. To the contrary, judges and attorneys are actually manipulatively trained through fear tactics and cognitive dissonance to keep them ignorant about that, and thus to prevent them from living up to their full potential. They fear losing control and special privileges. Too much empowerment for the people there. But our lawmakers recognize the need for this as another form of checks and balances between the government and the people. I've known about this for many years, and it's one of the things that I know very few people are aware of. Even so, I'm willing to risk putting my reputation on the line to start the public discussion on this topic as well. And if I'm completely wrong about this or other issues I speak up on, I won't be offended at all to discover so. If I'm right, we can legally reclaim many of our inalienable rights and freedoms that have been slowly stolen with the help of corrupt, paid-for politicians. And if I discover I'm wrong about this or any other issue, I'll gladly make an update to this program because I'm only interested in sharing the truth. And the truth shall set you free. There are plenty of issues to cover, so we aren't at any shortage at all. And as I've said earlier, this program isn't about just bringing up painful issues for the sake of bringing them up. Here, we're showing you how we can shift all the abuse out of our lives as fast and easy as possible. So I must speak up about this. Our juries actually have the power to change the laws related to their case that don't serve the greater good of the people, including the laws that enslave the people or protect our abusers. Just follow the money. Some regulations limit the kind of information the juries have access to, especially when larger amounts of money are involved. For example, the insurance companies don't want the juries to know how much coverage defendants have, especially when it's a very large insurance policy. Even if the plaintiff discovers how much coverage the defendant's insurance policy has, they still can't tell the jury how much money the defendant's insurance policy will cover. Our legal system doesn't allow us to reveal such details of the insurance policy to the jury. Some may say, this is to help prevent the jury from awarding money just because the insurance will cover it. But not knowing can actually discourage them from awarding coverage, even with cases where people have sustained much more damage than what they're awarding. What good is it for anyone to purchase an insurance policy that is advertised with a value of $1 million if there's no way to even share that fact in court? Isn't that misleading, cheating, stealing, and fraud in itself? I'm against all the secrecy in government, all the levels of clearance in the name of national security. I think it just gives elbow room for abusers and keeps the people blind and ignorant. Too many empowered people get kicked out during the jury selection process, but when enough of us become empowered, we will change things, whether it's our juries or whatever systems we implement. We won't be so easily manipulated. And all it takes is one jury member who knows the truth about their actual powers to educate the others. There are so many diluted, politically correct, lukewarm, good little slave programs out there, but this is not one of them. Are we keeping it real? Abusers like to train people to be disempowered and mostly passive while they're overly aggressive in the way they place burdens on others. Today, we have to be careful about what it means to be politically correct. And another quote that further exposes the whole political correct training perpetuated by the fake news media and further showing us how to judge. Revelations chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth.